Alright, so now we're going to be doing the grout for all the backsplash here that we got done earlier, and all the trim pieces and everything. And the grout lines are 1/16 inch on this. I opted for the unsanded grout in white to get a good match on the color, keep it as light as possible. And then instead of water, we're going to be using Mappy Grout Maximizer. And what this does, if you read it here, if you can see it on your screen, you use this liquid instead of water, and it gives you much more color-fast grout that stays clean longer, fights against mildew and mold and any sort of stains. So instead of having to go back over and reseal your grout afterwards, you can use this in place of water on any unsanded grout application, and it'll give you a much better long-term look to your grout, and you won't have to clean and seal it like you normally would with grout if you're using it with just water. So we're going to go ahead and get this mixed up, let it set, mix it again, and then get to grouting. The other good thing about these is that they're pre-sized for whichever size bag of grout you get. So I picked up the 10-pound bag of unsanded grout, and this is the particular bottle that's got enough liquid in it for a 10-pound bag of unsanded grout. It makes things much easier on the measuring. We're going to start by pouring all the liquid in, not all of it, about 3/4 of it. Leave a little bit there for the end. Pour the grout in little by little as we're mixing, and then pour the rest of the liquid in until we get the right consistency. Mix for about 5 minutes. Let it sit for about 2 or 3 minutes. Mix for another 60 seconds or so. Let it sit for a few minutes, and then we should be ready to grout. Now, as you're mixing, you want to make sure to get any of the powder that's stuck to the side of the bin. Make sure you get it mixed in there so that you're not picking up powder with your tools while you're trying to get the grout onto your tools and spread it onto the tile. Mix it for about 5 minutes, let it sit for a couple minutes, mix again for a minute, and then you'll let it sit for a minute, and then it should be ready to use. Now here you can see the grout starting to get a little bit more even consistency. Don't stop mixing. If you don't have familiarity with what this stuff needs to look like, set a timer for 4 to 5 minutes. That way you mix it for that amount of time and you don't stop too early, and you get a much better product that you're going to be using to do the grout lines. Also make sure you're using a power tool that's actually meant for mixing concrete and mortar and grout. It's very easy to burn out a normal drill. Actually, I've seen it happen multiple times. I've done it once myself just because I didn't have one of these mixers handy. But make sure to go out, spend the money, or to either buy one or rent one of these, get the proper mixing head, and you'll have much better luck, and you won't be out a couple of tools that you burnt out in the process. Now this has been sitting for about a minute. We're going to give it one more quick mix, and then while we get our mixing head cleaned up and come back, it should be ready to use. I start by just smearing grout randomly all over the place. Generally at 45-degree angles around. Just make sure you've got plenty of grout on the wall. And then once you've got enough on there to really work with, bottom to the top at a 45-degree angle. Get as much in the cracks as you can. Don't worry about making a mess. You can clean it up afterwards. Then go back the other direction from top to bottom, and keep going at it until you've got good coverage. And as you're going, if you run into thin spots where you don't have enough grout, go and apply more onto the wall, and just keep going, and don't worry about making a mess. You can see there's lots falling down on the countertop. It is absolutely okay. Don't be afraid of making a mess here. And you will have some air pockets in certain parts. And once you come back, you can always double check and go through every section and make sure you haven't missed anything.